Yes. Namaste all. Welcome to Natural Cooling Group 88th webinar, and today is Earth Day special, and the topic is introduction on how to make chemical-free soaps, other personal care and home care products at home. Do it as yourself, DIY. And our presenter today is Renuka Vijayaraghavan, a sustainable lifestyle coach from Pune. And today's agenda is history of bath soap. Yeah, that is very essential to know because most of the educated people believe okay, soap is somewhere traditional, natural, and everything, and it's been in use since ages, but it's not true. And the list of harmful chemicals being used in personal care product, not only in soap, all your shampoo, shaving cream, aroma products, beauty products, makeup products, wherever there is a foam, wherever there is a personal care products we are using, there are a lot of harmful chemicals. Some of them are industrial grade chemicals, some of them are toxic. Yeah, we'll get to know about all those things. And now we hear the story, which is not natural, which is natural, and list of harmful chemicals. Then how about the olden days, how it is used to be? And what are the natural alternatives which we can do it on ourselves in a DIY, do it yourself at home? Then, without wasting much time, we'll hand over the session to the Renuka ji. Yeah, Renuka ji, namaskar and welcome.
Namaste. Welcome, everybody. Pleasure to be here, Sudhirji. Thing is, you are into sustainable living all the way. What I'm doing is but a small, a part of it. I would love to share these ideas with whoever is willing to listen because we have to take this message very far together. Thank you.
Yeah, Renuka ji, please share your screen
Yes.
and
Okay. Um, I have a small presentation for you. Thing is, whenever we want to learn anything from anybody, we feel we should learn from a person who believes in it, who has been practicing it for a long time and is totally into it. So, to choose where we want to go, we are taking a small peek into a history of, how we clean ourselves as a human society, how we evolved down the ages. So Egypt, for example, was one of the forerunners, and they used beeswax and water to clean themselves. Also, ash and clay, and a substance called natron, which is but just like our salt. They are natural compounds of sodium salts. They occur naturally. We have heard about Cleopatra's bath. We know that she had 800 donkeys in whose milk she would bathe. So there's a lot of folklore, lot of things about bathing through the centuries. Am I audible, Sudhirji?
yeah, 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 ji, you are audible.
Okay, that's great. And now we are not going to all parts of the world. Now going to some parts, we're just taking a peek. So Japan, they used to have a big cave kind of a thing with no windows at all. People had to get in because steam was let out. And so it used to be so dark and one small opening, and that was the kind of bath they were having. It so happened that a lot of immoral things started happening in such a scenario. And later there were other changes, and they even gave up on it. And then coming to Rome, there was a method of just applying oil on yourself and cleaning with a razor kind of a thing called strigil. And not a blunt instrument, no, of course, not a sharp razor. You remove the oil and that's it. You're done. You're bathed. And then Greece had bathrooms only in palaces, and very well-to-do people alone had bathrooms. And later they came up with the gymnasium. The very word gymnos means naked. So gymnasium is derived from this word, and even today we have got gymnasium. But what they had is you could go there and bathe, and like today, how people go to the mall and spend the entire day. You could go there, exercise, then bathe. There was a library to read, and you could come back. This was going on. But down the ages, around the medieval times, it so happened that the public morals, the ideas changed with the advent of Christianity. They became more restrictive. And so this whole thing was given up. There was no bathing anymore. Already, many other countries, bathing was not even a tradition. Not only was it not a tradition, there were taboos and suspicions around bathing. They had various theories like your skin pores will open up and then air will enter and then you may fall sick. So, like if now going to UK, around the 20th century was weekend was once a week they would bathe. So weekend, Saturday, half day holiday was given so that they could draw water and take it to their tubs and warm the water, etc. And the man of the house will bathe first. And then in that hierarchy, people will go and bathe. And the baby's turn came last. This expression, throwing the baby out with the bath water came from here. Because by the time the baby's turn came, the water will be so murky that you can't see inside the water. It will be so dirty. This was the kind of bath they had once a week. And as late as 1780s, soap making became a small scale industry and soap guilds were formed. These were very secretive about their recipes and they wouldn't share with one another. This was how it slowly evolved. In fact, there is recorded history saying some kings and queens, if you please, bathed only 2 times in their lives, once when they were born and once on their wedding day. There are names of these people who have bathed only twice in their whole life. And what is this soap and how did it come about? So they didn't have pure alkalis like chemicals like we do today. So when you poured water into a bucket containing ash and there were little holes outside, the water that would come out was quite alkaline. And when fat was added to it, it became a soap. Saponification is just adding alkali to oil in the correct proportion and then you get soap and glycerin as a byproduct. So the progression, as and when we discover things, we always want to make the most of it. So slowly what they started doing is removing the glycerin. What we read today, glycerin soap, glycerin added, you're not adding anything. If you stop removing, there's glycerin there. So we are almost in the dark about these things that as things progress, when we are born, we see certain things and we believe this is what it is. But if we scratch the surface and go little inside, you see a lot of things and you are able to make an informed choice. Today's session is all about that. And then slowly they started using harsher alkalis. And then they came to synthetic bars. Going on to the next thing. So as we evolved, and this is how we have evolved, like a typical soap contains a fragrance which is not natural most of the time.
Renika ji, sorry to interrupt. Can you please maximize the PPT? There is a present button downside right side.
Just a second.
Because it's a list of chemicals. I want to be.
The screen. I'm sorry, just a second.
No, sir, the right side down.
Down, right side. This is here.
Yeah, come down. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
Come down.
Here.
Zoom it. No, zoom. Yeah. Basically, you can, no, sir, you can increase the into PPT mode, presentation mode. So there is a left side, there is a TV like symbol.
Yeah, this one, right?
I'm not able to see.
This is
No,
it?
no, no, this side,
On the right.
right side.
Okay.
After that,
Yeah.
No, next to zoom in and zoom out, sir.
Next to zoom in and zoom out. On the left here, this one.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yeah, increase that. Click
Yeah.
on that.
Is it okay?
No, click on that.
I clicked.
Now you again zoom in, zoom into 100%, and then click on the presentation mode. Hello. Yeah, make it 100%, sir. No. Click on minus.
No, I can't see it if you do this.
No, you not. Is it okay?
No, make it as 100%, and then yeah, make it as a middle. No, middle. Drag it to middle.
Okay.
Drag it to middle.
Is it okay?
Yeah, now okay. Click on that presentation mode button. After the zoom in.
Okay, then this one.
No.
Yeah.
After that.
Okay.
No, sir. Yeah, now on the left side of that button. Left side.
Here, this one. No, one second. This one, no?
No, go to the opposite direction.
Uh-huh.
No, sir. Here only, sir.
Okay. This one, that is
Next one.
Okay. That's the green one. Okay.
Next one.
Next to it?
Next one.
Is it okay? Oh no.
Now you click on the last one, sir.
On the right, is it?
Yeah, on the right, last one.
Is it okay?
Yeah, now perfect. Yeah.
Okay, now it's this one.
I'm sorry, I'm so technically challenged that.
Yeah. No, because I just want to highlight this list of chemicals, so don't want to miss. Yeah.
Thank you. Thing is fragrance. Fragrance is just one fragrance. There are around 5,000 chemicals that go into making one fragrance artificially. And most of the time, it is an artificial fragrance. And what will happen when so many chemicals are released around in the air, in water, is anybody's guess. And nobody knows and nobody cares about exactly what happens when this and this go together. Nobody ever has seen it. Nobody can do it. It's not even possible. And then there is SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate, which is actually used to remove degrease machinery. And that they have the audacity to use it, make us use it on our face and our hair. And this tetrasodium EDTA, this triclosan is especially terrible because when you read these special soaps, antibacterial soap and extra strong soap, you have to be doubly careful because these are the things that give rise to antibiotic resistant bacteria. So when we keep throwing these things in the water and around us and on us, the bacteria like today's viruses, they evolve and they are resistant to our medication, whatever we could be taking. They're getting stronger, in short. And then there are paraben releasers where parabens, they play around with our endocrine system and make our, the system go all right. And the cells start to multiply in a crazy fashion and we land in trouble, like cancers and many other problems. And there are many other things. This is only a few things, like they use polymers, if you please, synthetic polymers to clean. And then it could be silicone for hair. They've taken too many liberties with using whatever they want, experimenting and keeping us in the dark. Only if you go and pry will you know what goes into what. If you just go along, buy whatever is shown to you, you are in for trouble. And then this cocktail is also an ecological disaster. When these things get into water, which they are bound to, sooner than later, they will find their way into water bodies and into us and into animals and plants and everywhere. So When that happens, the so-called water treatment plants that we have, none of them can remove everything. No, not at all. And a few water treatment plants that use plants to clear up the mess, to a certain extent, they may be successful. So um, so I think the best way is to not put it in there so that we don't have to remove it or take the trouble of removing it. And the effect of movies and ads is so enormous that it is audacious, like, ting, ting, ting means we have to come running. I feel it's demeaning and an insult to our intelligence to be called like that. We have to go to the TV as though dogs are trained like that. They're using the same techniques for us. And then we have to go to the TV and they flash it 3 times. Buy this, buy this, buy this. Are we demented that we have to be told these things 3 times? And a whole bunch of fellows are sitting there and experimenting as to how to make these people buy this stuff. So we have to beat that. It is in our hands. If we refuse to buy, they cannot do a thing. But if we fall in line and go and buy whatever is shown to us, then we are in for trouble. And slowly, the movies also showed, in a big bathtub with a lot of lather. That's how you bathe. So the public began to think, okay, so to bathe, you have to lather a lot. Otherwise, you are not cleaning yourself. So that got into our heads. And then slowly, we feel today that if it doesn't lather, we are not cleaning ourselves. That is really, it's a mold that has to be broken and broken soon. And then we have deodorants. The very word is demeaning, is my personal opinion, because are we stinking? So if you're odorful, then you have to deodorize yourself. If you're bathing every day and you are a healthy individual, then why the hell will you stink and why do you have to spray something? Why can't you bathe? Is my simple question. And for us as lay people, reading labels is of utmost important. It's a cumbersome process. They make it very inconvenient. They make sure it is so small that you can't read it. They distract you with the other things, but yet we have to persist and go there and read it and see what goes into it. A school student will tell you that if there is green apple in it or avocado in it, it will not keep for more than a few hours, leave alone days. And here the shelf life is 3 months, 8 months, whatever. So we should refuse to be taken for a ride, is what I feel. And just compare it with our traditions. We bathe more than once a day. If you pray thrice a day, like they say, Trikala Sandhya Vandanam, you have to bathe thrice a day. And it was just not pouring water on ourselves, not a physical activity. It was a spiritual activity that cleans us from within also. When we bathe, we think of water with reverence. We think of the various rivers that are giving us life. And, so when you're thinking about that, we ought to keep it clean. Just thinking about it and praying is wonderful, but to take action is very important. This was a fine science for us. Like there is a different kind of temperature of the water for different constitutions. Like if you're pitta or vata or kapha, according to Ayurveda, your prakriti, you have to use water accordingly. There was a huge, and no guinea pigs were used here. These experiments have been carried out on human beings down the years, and we have arrived at these scientific basis. And it was a well-known fact, and it is recorded. There are, verses about this, that if you pour hot water on your head, your eyesight will be affected, your blood pressure goes up, and if you bathe regularly and well, your immune system improves. And bathing is not mere cleansing. It is also like, cooling your body, like radiator cool karo, that kind of a thing. When you heat up, this is a nice way of cooling yourself too. And it is said when amla is used for bathing, you live for 100 years. today scientists are saying we have an acid mantle on our skin, which when you wash away with alkalis and harsh soap, it takes time to rebuild. So amla, not only is it acidic, it has got so many other properties. To use it in your bathing, like dunk a few amla pieces in water for your hair bath, for your body bath, it's going to help a lot. And then they've gone to the extent of recommending you a special recipe. I mean, they say that if you include kadi patta, pepper, fenugreek soup, or rasam or any kind of soup on the day you wash your hair, you will not catch a cold. So they are all, it is, we are looked at as a whole, it's a holistic view. It's not mere cleaning or pouring water. That is only part of the whole show. And we also know, even personally, we experience when we pour water on ourselves, we feel so calm and peaceful, like the alpha waves in our brain begin to appear. That is the state we are in when we are bathing. And we were taught in school detergent means wetting agent. Here, the Pancha Mahabhutas, the quality of water, water is a wetting agent, the mother of all wetting agents. And it is supposed to be loving. When you're in a pool, which the water is to your liking, how beautiful you feel, how it is full of affection for you and ullasa. If you splash around in water and play in water, you feel so happy. These things have been taught out very well eons ago. And there was such ecological wisdom in these things. We are allowed to bathe in a river. We are allowed to wash our clothes there. But to wring it, you have to come to the bank. You can't wring the water to dry, I mean, the clothes to dry inside the river. You have to come out. So these things are, there is no school that sat you down and taught you. These are practices. If you observe the older generation doing it, the younger generation followed. And that's how it was a living tradition. Till the British came to India, we were not comfortable polluting the rivers. Only when the Sampur cannery started and the British said, it's chalta hai, push the murk inside the Ganga, that is when it all started. And slowly, see, no blame game here, like we are responsible, we better take responsibility, but at the same time, this is how it started, is a fact. And there are traditions and traditions. I'm not even going into all the details. There is a tradition where a piece of cloth has to be on you when you're bathing, because back in the days, I guess they used to bathe outside, outdoors also, in a well, outside a well or river, pond, anywhere. So these things, like I have seen my grandmother always used to insist that you have to have a piece of cloth on you even when you are bathing in a bathroom. So these are traditions, very interesting to know. Whether we follow or not is another thing. And you will ask me, so don't use soap, and what to use? So here are choices and choices. You're spoiled for choices actually. There's Fuller's Earth, Multani Matti. With that, you can be quite clean. Like, and here it's our, creativity at play. You can just let go your creative instincts and figure out what suits you. You're different from me. Each one's position in life and the conditions, the um, health status is different. So you can play around with these things and arrive at something, try out each of these things and arrive at something that suits you specially, just tailor-made for you. That is the beauty of these things. And now Fuller's Earth, you can use it for bathing, you can use it to wash your hair. You can, if you have very oily skin or you want to pull out water from the sinuses, you have a bad headache because of a cold, you can apply it on your head and it draws out the water. In fact, it is thought that those marks that we used to wear on our foreheads has a meaning of this kind too. And kaolin clay. Whereas we spoke about silicone and stuff, those things clog our pores, and blackheads and whiteheads and all begin to appear. So kaolin clay is something that will draw out all the dirt from your what is happened here? Face. Okay. And so it can be used for bathing. It can be used for hair. Medically, yeah, back in the days, there used to be preparations of kaolin and like pectin to arrest diarrhea in small children. And kaolin, you can play around with it. Miscellaneous uses are many. You can use it like a foundation. You can use it like a powder. There are endless uses to it, and it doesn't need any special coloring. Kaolin clay is taken out. When it is taken out itself, it is in different colors. So you can choose colors that suit you. And then clay from the river bed. Yes, that is used too. Like today, we naturopathy and those spas and all, you go and apply matti all over clay all over yourself and remain for some time and wash it off. This is specially from the soil from ant hills is taken because it has got special properties. So these can be used for all these purposes. And there are refined clays that are edible too with medicinal value. And shikakai, of course, everyone knows about it. It's wonderful. And you know, we have to slowly introduce these things and get used to it. Like if you want to bathe, wash your hair with shikakai. In the beginning, it may not be very easy. You should know how to close your eyes. If you even close it too tight, sometimes you know it burns your eyes. If even a little bit gets in, it can be nasty. But nothing harmful. Like you will come back to normal very quickly, but it will be uncomfortable. So these things will require some getting used to, but they are worthwhile. Let me tell you, they're totally worth it. And then there is Rita. See, these things for suppose you have a skin infection, some rash or something. Shikakai takes care of those things too. It's not just cleaning, it is multi-purpose. It doesn't take away all the fat, the layer of fat that is there, sebum on your skin. It leaves something there behind. It's not a harsh chemical that is being used. And ground seeds like till, flax seeds, you grind them and use them, especially in winters. It's wonderful, to clean, to exfoliate the dead cells, also to clean. It's and it's very aromatic too. You'll love it. And then of course everyone knows about chana dal and moong, which we grind and use as to clean our bodies. And in north of India, yeah, something very interesting is geo specifically certain areas have certain ideas which we don't even know. These are just the tip of the iceberg that I'm showing you. There are many, many more. If you speak to local people and get to know, there are lots of things that we can learn. In the north, they feel masoor dal will take out any kind of blemish from your body, and they believe that even pock marks will go away with masoor dal. And sea salt, rock salt, these also can be used. It is very nice medium. Of course, see, people immediately say, I have to get it from the Dead Sea, I have to go there. Not at all necessary. You have everything here. Then I can't see this lower one. Just a second, please.
There are so
Okay,
many.
okay, got it. So amla is again another cleaning agent. Like we spoke about it just now, it has got uses and uses and uses, so we can go on about it. And this is another very interesting tree called Albizia amara. The leaves of this tree is harvested and it is ground into a fine powder. And when you add water to it, the volume increases. It fluffs up, and then it's excellent for washing your hair. And there are other uses too for this, like it can be used for cleaning utensils and cleaning anything, in fact. And it has a very neutral kind of an aroma. It's not very strong smelling or anything. And if you think that was all, no, there are many, many other things. And all these things can be used in combination for our various requirements. This Termelia shabula, that is Hirida or Kadukai in Tamil, will take care of allergies, and it has so many uses. It can be taken internally too. Then there is Lodra, then neem leaves, of course, we can sing its praises. And then there is Saptaparni, that is Astonia scholaris. There's an interesting thing about this is Rabindranath Tagore used to give the one leaf of this as to the scholars, those who did very well, like olive leaves in Olympics. Here it was the Saptaparni. And then we have fruit peels, pomegranate, orange, citrus, any citrus peel can be used. And lotus is a very good moisture. It helps you retain the moisture, and honey too. And then Rakta Chandan is red sanders that takes care of any small swelling, sty in the eye. Even that is taken care of with Rakta Chandan. With pains and fractures, it is used in so many ways. So we are just about browsing through many things, and they are also exotic. Nagakeshar, the very name, it's so exotic. And vetiver or vala, it smells awesome. It can bring down your temperature. If you have slight temperature, a pinch of vetiver in your water can, vala in Marathi, can bring it down, and it smells so awesome. You can add it in so many places. So you have to start thinking about these things, experimenting with these things, and see how best we can use it. I can give you recipes ready-made, but it has to suit your purpose. So, and it's such a beautiful journey together. We can do these experiments. And there is Tamal Patra, the one which we use in pulaus and things, that thing. And then Chandan. Then Nagar Mota is a grassy kind of a thing with a bulbous root, which is very good for the skin. Drumstick leaves can be used in certain conditions, and Bhimseni Kapoor for rashes, and it has got a lot of uses. So also this other Kushta can be used for cleaning ourselves, and also to prepare other packs and stuff. And okay, see, this actually is a Malayali, a Kerala thing called thali. It is excellent for as a hair pack. You must try this. So you should get some tulsi, kadi patta, aloe vera. In fact, I grow most of these things except the last three. I grow all the rest of the stuff. Tulsi, kadi patta, aloe vera, neem, hibiscus flowers, and mehendi. Just pick the leaves and dry them in the sun for 4-5 days. And then grind together flax seeds, methi, and moong, and mix everything together and just keep it. And you mix it with water or with curds. If you have dandruff, it will be with curds. If you want to strengthen your hair further for damaged hair or something, you could use rice water. Cook the rice and remove the water, mix this powder in that and use it on your hair. And leave it for 20 minutes or so and wash it. So see, these many of these things we have not even spoken about before. So, and let me tell you, this is not at all an exhaustive list. The other day, we on NELG, we were speaking about holy colors. On that day, we were talking about quite other things which can be used here too. And also, there are so many things we have not even touched. We are just about, it's an introductory thing. If you look around, you will find many more things. And these things are very versatile. Shikakai I use for doing my dishes also. Some Rita, some shikakai, and some baking soda. You can add some baking soda to, give it a better, the utensils are clean better. That is about the harshest chemical that I use. This thing, vinegar and baking soda and things like that. And so also Rita can be used, and Albizia amara, the tree that I was talking about, these trees can be grown where, like if you have a mango orchard, say, or some other sensitive plants, this can be the outer boundary of the thing. So these will cut off the wind speed when it reaches the important plants. So uh, all these things have to be, grown in. You should see where you can do it, and urban settings, it is quite possible to do these things. If you connect with people and ask people and get together, in fact, around our society, there are many other societies. We have together gotten and planted Ayurveda trees. We may have a place for small herbs, but when it comes to trees, we don't have the place. So we got together and we are doing it. It is quite doable. And of course, there is bioenzyme which we can make at home and use for many other things. The idea is to expose yourself to these things and think about it and create signature products that suit you. You can make an excellent gift. You know a friend intimately, you know what kind of things he or she likes and what kind of skin he has. So you can gift these things. And we have limited time and we are discussing very superficially everything. We have not even touched upon oral hygiene. Personal care, personal hygiene is vast, it is enormous. So, and I'm now sharing with you chemical-free soap. So what goes into it is a multani matti, that is fuller's earth, 2.5 kilos. A Swarna Geru powder is a refined earth, it's refined clay only. And then Bhimseni Kapoor, Ajwain Sattva. All these things individually also they'll help you. Say Bhimseni Kapoor and Ajwain Sattva, you have to grind it together. It's such a lovely experience. The mixie jar will become extremely cold when you grind these two together to liquefy it. And it is so much fun. I think we can have this as weekend activities called, I mean, when things get better, we can call friends over and have a joint soap making session or now family together. It's great fun too. And the earlier we introduce this to young people, the better. We are doing it, if we take to this, it's wonderful, but young people are the ones who have to be targeted. I was so delighted today when a friend of mine said my small children, they want to, listen to these ideas. And then sesame oil, and then there is turmeric, and then neem leaves, uh, Rita powder, lemon peel, and orange peel. So how we go about it, about this is we boil lemongrass, etc., in 3 liter in large quantity of water and reduce it to 1/3 the quantity. And then we grind this Bhimseni Kapoor and Ajwain Sattva together and make a well in the powders and pour the oil into it. That is the sesame oil into it. And then we can add the ground Bhimseni Kapoor and this water, this medicated water, and slowly mix it like how we make bhakri. That kind of mixing has to be done, and the consistency also bhakri consistency. And then we can make cakes of this and keep it aside. You can apply some water on the cake so that it doesn't crack. But my personal experience is when you make a cake out of it, you need time to, it doesn't come off easily like a soap, like a market soap. So it takes a little time to get it off. So I prefer to keep it in powder form and use it. So it stays well in that. And please do not just follow this recipe. If you find cleaning your bathroom a pain, and you can skip that Swarnageru. It's quite colorant. So if you have very dry skin, increase that oil there. So just think about it and play around with it, and it will be a great experience. I'm sure of that. And oh, that's the last. Okay. Thing is, we are all sharing these things with one another, but who is going to grow it? So I think we may have the smallest of place, but can grow one aloe vera and one tulsi and influence people around, talk to farmers, say, social forestry. So many, we hear of so many people doing CSR responsibility, they're planting trees. Involve and ask, what are you planting? Can we do this? So that we can spread awareness, actually harvest from there. So involvement and awareness is of utmost importance. And if we can explain this, the important thing is to spread this message around wherever we go and ask people to join in. I know there will be resistance. In most of the cases, they say there will be excuses, there will be resistance. It may even get bellicose, actually. Yet, there lies the fun, is what I feel. If we are going to just talk to one another, all of us agreeing with one another, that's fun, that's fantastic. But to convert the others is the challenge that we have to accept and go for it, is what I feel. That's about all. I'm here to take your questions. Thank you all for the patience here.
Wonderful, Ji. Can you please go back to the slide of the recipe where many people are asking?
Okay, this one?
Yeah. So now the question comes is when you are using such kind of soil or mitti using, will it not block our drainage pipes? Because most of the people are staying in apartments.
No, not at all. It will never block. You're not throwing such huge quantities that it is going to block your drain. And moreover, if we start using bioenzyme to clean our bathrooms, it naturally, flushes out all the kind of stuff. Even if it is due to some hair or some other thing, it gets sorted out if we start using what do you call the bioenzymes. And this certainly will not. I can guarantee you that this will not block the brains or any such thing. It is, we are not going to use like mugfuls of this. It's going to be a small quantity which will be dissolved in water and go down the drain. I have never had a problem with this.
Wonderful. And for the participants, we are going to upload this video in the Facebook and YouTube.
So, you have to speak up a little bit, please.
Yeah. No, for the participants, we are going to share this YouTube in YouTube and Facebook also.
Okay.
And yeah. So the next question is where we get these products?
Any standard Ayurveda store anywhere in India will have all these things. And I feel if you can grow something, one thing out of this, two things out of this, wonderful. Maybe not this, neem leaves you get around your house. Lemon peel, orange peel, we all produce. I mean, they are not waste, they're gold actually, but we throw away these peels, so you could use them here.
Okay. And coincidentally, next week we have another webinar which talks about introduction to bioenzymes or ecoenzymes or bioculture. So hopefully we'll cover the continuation part of that.
Great.
Yeah, and you also mentioned we can use baking soda.
Yes.
So is it not a chemical?
Yes. Actually, they do use it for exfoliating and stuff. But we have better options for bhandi, for your vessels, utensils. Baking soda with shikakai or vita is fine. The Western concept is to use that for exfoliating your skin, your lips, etc. too. But we have better options than baking soda for this purpose.
Okay. And Renuka ji, do you have any image of the ingredients, the recipe, what you have made, any photo or video? I mean, basically people want to see how it looks like after preparing and they want to make a reference. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I don't form the cake. And I go, in fact, all of us should go according to the season. What you're using in winter, you wouldn't be using now. So I don't have a standard thing which I use around the year. According to my needs and the weather, the heat, and such things, I change it according to the seasons. And we are not made of steel. So I think we should respect our bodies to the extent of, tweaking our needs according to the seasons.
Okay, yeah, understood. So, and yeah, participants, if you have any questions, please raise your hand and unmute yourself. You can take the questions. Yeah, Dr. Rucha ji, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, I have a question that how much amount of that lemon peel and orange peel we need? And another question that whether these cakes stay in place like in the form of a bar, because as a binder we are only using multani mitti, I guess. So does it hold properly that cake for a long time, or after one wash or two it separates out like in the form of matti like?
It doesn't. Normally, it stays till the very last piece. It stays intact. But I think you should experiment with this and see, because if you feel you are using a lot of time in just melting it in your hand before you can apply it on your body, then you will give up on it. Say you're any younger person at home, you're recommending it to them. If it is going to take a longer time, even 5 minutes extra, you are dissuaded. So our idea is to get people into it. So if you are going to make it more difficult for them, it will not work. So the idea is to how to simplify it. You can make a cake, it will stay, but you please make a choice after you experiment with it, not only with yourself, but other family members and whoever else you want to gift it to. Yeah.
Okay. So, Renika ji, what is the shelf life of this recipe? I mean, how long it will stay fresh?
It almost stays forever, like at least a year. And if you prepare it, all these things that we prepare at home, if we tend to the basic things, like suppose you're pickling something, you would have a dry jar, your hands will be totally dry, you will not mess around, you will not have other stuff there. If this kind of hygiene is maintained, you increase your shelf life of whatever you make at home. If you compromise here, then during monsoon it will catch fungus, but you have to keep an eye. And also I would like to say that there is no guarantee that none of this will cause any allergy on anybody. Some people very rarely, they may not like something, it may not agree with them. We have to Ayurveda and our science, Indian science, is all about, how to tailor make things individually. And I will not say I too totally subscribe to the view of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakah. It is not that they are all dirty, they're not at all. Like if we learn, we can learn from the First Nations people in America. They have quite a few things up their sleeves. So it is being open to ideas and taking the best from wherever it comes is what I think.
Okay. Yeah. Next question we'll take from Simran ji. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, maybe I missed this, but amla, like, do we use it fresh or is it to be dried and then made into a powder? How exactly?
Fresh will be the best. In fact, Dr. Dongreji, who's attending the session, guided me in this. I have an amla tree and there is so much produce from it that I can see myself. I was wondering what I could do with it. He said, that's the best gift you've got. You just just crush it and add it to your bath water. That was what I was doing through the season. It is just about ended, the amla season. You can dry it and keep it and use through the year. You can powder it, and if you don't want to do all that, you can buy amla powder.
Yeah, I think that is good. Buying a amla powder is good. Yeah.
Yes.
Next question is Madhuri ji.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello, ma'am. What is the difference between Ajwain and Ajwain Sattva?
Ajwain Sattva is thymol. the essence that they take out. It is the base is ajwain. From where they
Wait,
extract. Yeah.
so it's a decoction of ajwain in water. You mean to
No,
say
no,
that?
it's flakes. It's flakes like peppermint.
No,
That kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like a menthol we get in the market. We get
Yes.
ajwain satwa in market.
Yes, we do.
Okay, and where do we have it in Mumbai? I'm from Mumbai.
You can easily get it in an Ayurveda store.
Okay, so I have to ask ajwain satwa only for that.
Sorry.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
there
yeah.
any other name, or it just ajwain satwa only I have to ask for?
Ajwain sattva will be better because people understand that better. But you can call it thymol too.
Thymol. Okay.
Thymol.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. Shravani ji, unmute yourself and ask the question. Yeah. Nilesh ji.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
ma'am. Actually, what is Swarnagiru here?
Mhm.
And one more question I have to ask. Can I use it as a powder or I have to make a cakes?
In fact, using it in powder form will be better, easier. I mean, ease of use. We are so it's so important, right? So
Yes.
the ease of use will be easier if it is in powder form. But some people like to make cakes. It is a possibility and it is a choice. Yeah.
What is Swarnagiru, ma'am?
Swarnageru is refined earth. It is available in various shades. We can use it for making. I use it when I make some cosmetics for personal grooming products. You can use it. There is orange, there is yellow. There are 2-3 shades in it.
Please, can you show any picture of this Swarnagiru and where can I get it?
No, please ask any nearby Ayurvedic store. They will show the pictures. Okay, you can Google. Meanwhile, we can try to see the picture in the
Okay,
internet.
thank you.
Yeah. Nilesh ji.
So, madam, is like I heard is like one is the sodium hydroxide, which has been used for making
I
the
can't
soap.
hear you, Nilesh.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Speak up a little bit more.
I'm just holding the mic very close to my mouth.
Yeah, Nilesh ji, your voice is audible. Maybe.
Okay. Okay.
Writing.
Yeah. So nowadays, like many soaps which are claiming like natural and everything, but when we look at the ingredients, it's mostly like with the SLS and everything. Okay. And then the lye. So one of the method which I just wanted to check is like the potassium hydroxide. Can we use it instead of the sodium hydroxide for making the soaps?
I got part of the question.
No, Renika ji, his question is, can he use potassium hydroxide in place of sodium hydroxide?
You can use potassium hydroxide, which is it's called castile soap if you do that. But at the end of the day, it is another chemical and it is going to cause that much damage. It is supposed to cause less damage than caustic soda. So when you're making soap, they say do it outdoors, otherwise your eyes will burn, you can't breathe, your nose will burn. Do we need these caustic? The very word caustic is so negative and so strong. So, do we need caustic soda and potassium hydroxide on our body when there is a whole list of things waiting out there? Is the question. It's a personal choice. Soap making is a big thing. Even now, many people they I mean, they use more fat than is necessary in a soap to make a soft soap, this soap, that soap. But without lye, that is potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide, you cannot make a soap unless you know, like back in the days, add ash and remove the water and try, which I have tried. So it is a choice that we are making here, and my recommendation will be not use it for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of our families, the world, and our water bodies. Water bodies, without that, we are. And another thing I would like to point out is the water. When you go abroad and see the water bodies, you feel, wow, it's so clean. Sorry, it is not at all so. the concentration of these chemicals there is much more than it is even here. Industrial pollution, we have no control on. This is in our hands. And when we stop using these things, the industries will also have to, I mean, certain sections will come down. So it is entirely in our hands and we have to make this informed choice. And I want all of you to come along together. That is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Govindaji, ask your question.
Hello, Mrs. Renuka. I was just wondering if you could kind of give us like a high level overview of points and what is the difference between soap and shampoo and maybe toothpaste? Or like, why are they different? Why do we have all these different things to clean our body?
Yes. Shampoos, actually, very frankly speaking, there is no big difference in the north of India. People use soap to wash their hair also. So there is nothing hard and fast. It is ease of use and fancy things, you know. Oh, to use a bar of soap on your head is much not so convenient. So a liquid will work better there. So like we can, the idea is shikakai, we mix it in water. We don't use it like if it is a cake, it is more difficult to use. So ease of use is so important. Those few seconds saved here and there is so important. So that's where all the mischief comes. The fancy containers. In 1 month, we produce one big bag of containers because we want ease of use. We will want this kind of opening, this kind of shutting. It should be easy to pour and things. Basically, it is using chemicals to clean. It's SLS in shampoo. Something else, for that matter, polymers. There is something for personal hygiene. There's something called V-Wash that has some polymer in it that only cleans you. So we know that sensitive parts where things can get in is the last place you will use something of this kind. So these are fancy things with fancy flavors and colors because we demand it. We want something in a different color, something more attractive with some other fragrance in a liquid form and this form and that form. It is purely economics.
Okay. Yeah. Another question is Vijay ji, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yeah. Sir, ask your question.
Is there any workshop that you are conducting in Pune for making this more lively to all of us? I am from Pune. I understand you are also from Pune.
Yes.
So my request would be if you can send us your contact details and the program intimation, then we would like to attend that because seeing the things being done is far more effective than just listening. Because the kind of questions
Yes, sir. Ma'am,
that are
question
coming
is
out,
many people are also asking how to reach you, and
true.
again, if there any training session, that will be helpful to many.
Yeah, I conduct workshops all the time with 4 or 5 products in 3 or 4 hours or so. But now that we have to go online, I'm figuring it out. I'm definitely going to come up with workshops. But you know, we will not be able to cover everything. What we'll have to kind of figure out what to make in that time, and we are definitely coming up with workshops.
Wonderful. Yeah, and Yashada Bapat ji, ask your question.
Thank you, ma'am, for the session. My question was that what is your view on certain products which claim to be paraben free or SLS free, like for example certain brands of shampoos or things like that, like for example khadi. So I use khadi shampoo, so because they say that it's paraben free, so I would like to know your view on that, and also if you could tell us about some brands that you know which are genuinely organic or natural or which genuinely don't use chemicals. That would also be great. Thank you.
Sure. The thing is, the brands that you're talking about, they're at the end of the day, it's a chemical based thing, which this phenomenon is called greenwashing. When they say paraben free, all right, but what is there? This is where label reading becomes, the composition, you have to demand the composition. There are multinationals which refuse to have the composition on the jar, on the pack. So we have to boycott these things where they are not even willing to part with the information that what has gone into it. So I do not know unless it is somebody who actually makes it at home and gives you. I have rarely come up with, I've gone, just in search of this. When I discovered that these things were going on, I used to go around searching for such products. And I was in for one disappointment after another. And eventually, that is why, in fact, I started saying that now I'll not buy any of these things. Let me make it myself. And the benefit versus investment of time and effort is huge. So it works for us, is what I feel.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Well,
Anita Parvaniji, ask your question, please.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, you said that you don't make the cake form, you use it in powder form. So what does that mean? You don't add the oil and the water?
I can add, according to the season, I may add a cream of milk. I can add curd on one day, oil on another day. If I feel very dry, something else like it is. If you keep it like that, then the choices are more. If you form a cake, yeah. So you're landed with that cake.
So you mix all the dry ingredients and keep the powder separate, and then while using, you add a little bit of oil as needed.
Yes.
Or the lemon, neem, and that boiled water, that also you can keep it separate in a bottle, like instead of making the
that
cake.
is not necessary. We are we are going to make it easy for ourselves. So we can infuse all the water and everything, and still that powder can remain powder. You need not form a cake. That's all.
Okay, if you're adding water, then how will it remain in powder form? It will become like a paste.
No, it depends on how much water you add and how you mix it and leave it out to dry. Then it remains like that.
Okay. I'll have to make it and see. So whenever you're having your workshop, if we see the demo, it will become more clear. And yeah, another thing I want to know, I'm also in Pune and I attended your last session, which was with Adrish. So are all these things available at Adrish store, that organic store?
Should be, yeah, it should be, because Savita Agarwal was telling me she carries all these things.
Yeah, I'm going to WhatsApp and ask her. And whenever you have your workshop, the demo, it will be great.
Yeah, it will be
Thank
intimated.
you.
If you are in Natural Ecolink group, you will get the details. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And Parvati ji, please unmute and ask your question. Parvati, yeah.
Hello. Good evening, ma'am. Actually, my question has been answered. I was about to ask you that only, that if you want in powder form, shouldn't we add oil and that water? That is what I wanted to ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Govinda ji, ask your question.
Hi. Yeah, I had a follow-up question to the previous one. These soap recipes that you mentioned, is there a different strategy to use for like laundry detergent or utensil cleaning, or would you kind of think about the same things? Like, how do you approach making those things?
Laundry, I use bioenzyme in my washing machine. It's quite doable. And there are so many things. So, right from cleaning your counter to the floor, to the bathroom, to the utensils and name it, there are alternatives. We only have to, get used to the new ideas. There are alternatives for each one of the things.
Yeah, Govinda ji, next week we will have a session on these topics. And to say for laundry, we are using the bioenzymes, which is made with soap nut. And they are very good compared to the other branded washing powders. Yeah. Ma'am, one more question is, this is a Krishna series plant.
Sorry?
No.
Yes. This is the plant from which the leaves are taken out and What is the botanical name?
Botanical name is
Albizia
Albizia amara. Yeah.
This is the one. Yeah, this is the one. And it looks so pretty. Why don't we grow this instead of some ornamental gulmohar which has come from abroad and there is some rain and it falls down and blocks the road? So these are the things we should be growing in our societies around us, all over the place, is what I
Yes.
strongly feel. Yeah.
Nice. Luckily, we have a couple of in our neighborhood.
I see.
Yeah. Shravani Gaji, ask your question. So, yeah, people are asking about.
Hi, ma'am. Can I add any flower powders or chandan powder or vetiver powder like that in that soap powder?
Of course you can, but it will be a good idea if you're spending so much, apply the chandan and vetiver after bath. That will, through the day you'll smell fresh, you'll feel very good.
Okay. Okay. Can I change the any other flavors also in that?
Absolutely. See, we are here precisely for this purpose, to encourage you to experiment with various things and come out with new things. I'm sure many of you will come out with new things, and I would like you to share it with me. Sudhirji, if you can share my contact details with them, I would like to remain in touch with these people so that I know what they're doing.
Okay,
Sure.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we'll invite you all to the Telegram group where they can discuss, and discussions between one or two will benefit many. So after the session, I'm going to share the WhatsApp group details. Yeah. Chitali ji, please ask your question. You are unmuted. Please ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, thanks a lot for such a lovely session. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Me? Yeah. So the recipe that we just discussed is for shampoo as well as hair. We can use it for both the purposes. But for hair, if I'm using, is there any ingredient which I can add for if I have dry hair?
Dry hair?
Yeah. Any conditioning ingredient to make your hair softer? Anything like that?
Sorry, the plant that Sudhirji just displayed, Albizia amara, that powder will help you. And I gave you a hair pack. We spoke about a hair pack also, right? That will help a lot with your hair.
Okay, I think I missed that part.
I see.
No, you can get in the YouTube and videos. We'll share the video.
Perfect. Perfect. Great.
Yeah. You can find the video in the Facebook and also in the YouTube. Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going through the chat. Any other question from the participants? We can take it. Yeah, I shared the Telegram group link. You can join. You can start asking the questions. And so, ma'am, someone's skin will be dry, someone's skin will be wet, and someone, based on the season, the dry or wet will be changing. So how to know whether my skin is dry or wet?
it will tell you, like, you will feel dry, cracked, and you can feel it from within. And there will be signs of, if you scratch yourself, there'll be lines and things like that. And before that happens, let us act, is what I feel. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I think we covered all the questions from the participants and also in the group chat. And yeah, so I will connect you all, and yeah, thank you all. And with this, we conclude today's webinar. And next week, we are going to discuss about the introduction to bioenzymes or ecoenzymes. We'll share the YouTube link and Facebook link in the groups. Yeah, with this, we thankful to Rika ji for sharing your experiences and sharing your wonderful recipes. Yeah, with this, we'll take bye-bye and we'll meet next week. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sudhirji. Pleasure being here with you.
Thank you.